All right, Rob, let's get into it. The big news, Monty announced it at the top of the hour.
Yes.
Ime Udoka, a superstar, that's an overstatement, but rising star as a head coach. First year with the Celtics, led them to the NBA Finals, did a great job, and now has come under fire. He has broken the team rules by having a consensual affair with a female staffer. Now, we don't know who that female is. We don't know, did he use his power, right, as a head coach to start the relationship or anything. We really don't know those details. But the reporting is saying that the Celtics are considering a 1-year suspension for Udoka, and the assistant Joe Mazzulla would be the head coach. And a lot to get into here, Rob, but what are your thoughts?
This can't go on. Plain and simple. When
relationship? Yeah,
it can't happen, Chris, and this is why they put these kind of rules and conduct codes in, because you make the company liable. Just what you just said about a boss and a subordinate, and whether or not they feel pressured into something because you're my boss, because you know what I mean? You control my life. You control whether I get paid, whether if I don't go along with it, I get demoted, or you know what I mean, or let go. Right. So there's a lot. That's why they don't want these things to happen. And I know a lot of people are like, this is personal, and no. Stop. This is not new, Chris. This happens a lot.
No, it's not new at all.
Okay?
It's not new at all.
I want people who don't know this, go check out the story of Jeff Zucker, who was the boss of CNN, Chris, who lost his gig. He was the big boss who ran the network. Why? Because he had a consensual relationship with someone underneath him, as far as rank. I don't mean it like that. Can I give you another?
You can't help yourself.
I can't help it. Chris, let me give you one. Let me give you one other. Let me give you one more, too.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Steve Phillips. You know that. Steve Phillips.
I remember that.
Steve
I was
Phillips
at the New York Times during that time.
Lost his job first, Chris, at the New York Mets as GM for again, having a relationship with someone on the staff. He overcame that, went to ESPN, became a great baseball analyst. Chris, what happened at ESPN?
Same thing.
Same exact thing, and he lost his job. So give me another example. I just want people to know that this is not uncommon.
The person that brought myself, Rob Parker.
Yes. Skip Bayless.
Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd, all of us to Fox Sports 1. And Rob, I'm sure you'll agree with me, fantastic at his job. And he had a relationship, consensual, with a woman at the company and was fired promptly. Rob, you remember that. It
pierced us all.
Right. And there were no ifs, ands, or buts. He was fired. As great as he was fired. And so you're right. This is not new. Now, look, there were rumors, Rob, going on Twitter about that they felt that they had found the woman who worked in the Celtics organization. It was very unfair. And yes, the reporting from Mark Spears, who does a great job.
Let's not say her name.
NBA. No, I won't say her name, but he said it's not true.
It's not her.
She's not involved. Thankfully, she was married. So I'm glad that she's not involved.
And her husband worked for the Celtics too, Chris. Her husband worked for the Celtics. So
right now, again, we don't know all the details. All right. But you're right. You can't. There's a reason that these rules exist. Now, Rob, a lot of people have brought up the Phil Jackson Jeannie Buss situation with the Lakers. Jeannie was working, obviously, in the front office for the Lakers when Phil Jackson was hired in 1999, and they began a relationship that lasted almost 20 years. And Phil was actually married. Now, he had just announced he was going to divorce his wife right before he joined the Lakers, like a month before he took over the Lakers. But they weren't officially divorced until 2020. He had already started dating Jeannie. She was not the owner, but her dad was. And look, Jerry Buss was obviously a tremendously successful owner. Rob, he would not be able to exist in today's climate. There's no way he would be able to be an owner today. His womanizing was very well known. But yeah, there are a lot of people bringing that up, Rob. And look, do different franchises. I don't know what the Lakers rule is.
But the Celtics have a
Jerry
rule
Buss
on the books.
Was very lenient.
He had to sign off on it, Chris.
Right.
I mean, because
he was very lenient in those matters. But yeah, I do think there are a lot of parallels to that. However, the Celtics do have a rule, and here's the bottom line is this, Rob. If you and I are both driving on the highway, and I'm speeding, I'm going 80, and you're going 80, and the cop stopped me, I can say, well, he's going 82.
It doesn't matter, right.
And I'm right about that, but what I can't do is argue that I don't deserve a ticket.
Exactly, because you were traveling at 80 miles an hour. Let me say this, Chris, two things. I don't think he'll ever coach the Celtics again. I don't.
I'm with you there.
He will not be able to come back for people to look at him the same way, for people to have trust that he's the trusted leader. It's just not going to work, okay? So then people say, well, why didn't they fire him? Chris, I don't know. Did he get a new contract recently? I don't know what the financial...
He just started his first... He just was his first year.
Right, his first year.
I doubt it.
Okay. I think, to me, if you suspend him for a year, Chris, A, he doesn't get paid. So he's not getting paid.
Right.
And B, he's sitting out knowing he can't come back. He comes back after the year or whatever, and then he says, I want to buy out, or I don't want to come back as well. And then you don't have to pay him all the money. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not saying he's making $1 gazillion. But that's the only reason, because most people in this situation would have been fired, plain and simple.
Well, let me, I agree with you in that I don't think he'll coach the Celtics again.
Right. I'm not saying he won't ever coach again. Right.
I mean, honestly, we're going off the thinking that the suspension is going to be a year.
Because that's what's
what
out
the report
there.
is.
Right.
Now, if they say the suspension is for 3 weeks and it's a hefty fine, then I think he'll be back. I do think, now, we don't know all the details, right? But I don't know, assuming it's not, who knows how bad it could be. The person he's having the relationship, was she married? Was she married to somebody in the organization? Yeah, was she pressured? I mean, there are degrees to this. But if let's just say he had a consensual sexual relationship with, say, a secretary in the office, right? And that's not tied to any players or anybody else in the organization, I think he'd be able to come back with the authority. I don't think players would look at him like, oh, we can't respect you. Because, Rob, let's keep it real. Affairs in professional sports are commonplace.
Now,
Doesn't make it right, but they're commonplace.
Okay, let me jump in. I agree with you from that standpoint. But again, you're one of the face of the franchise. It is. Do
you know coaches that have affairs? I know plenty of coaches that have affairs, and players know about it.
But it's not as messy and out front as this was. And Chris, we always talk about it. It's the smoking gun. It's the video. It's knowing some details. I'm just saying.
I don't think players really. A lot of players are cheating on their wives themselves.
Not everybody. Not everybody.
No, not everybody. Of course, I said a lot. So they're going to look at him. They're going to look down and judge him.
Also,
some may.
But also you got females. You got women who are Celtics fans. You got other women who are.
I'm not talking about fans.
Okay.
I'm talking about players. Would he be able to coach those players and have their authority? I still think he would. Here's my issue with why I don't think he'll coach them again, assuming it's a year-long suspension. I think the Celtics should have been a substantial fine and let him keep coaching, or fire him. Rob, if it's a year, what does that do? What if the assistant, Joe Mazzulla, does take over?
And he does well.
And they win the championship.
Right, he's not coming back.
I mean, they're a contender. I don't think they would, but they're a contender. You can't rule it out. Or what if he doesn't win a championship, but they get to the finals, conference finals, and he's great? You're just looking at like, wow, this guy can coach. You're not bringing him back. So there was talk. Now it's been shot down too, but who knows?
Right.
We'll see. But there was talk that he might resign.
Right.
If they go along with a year-long suspension.
Right. And just
I don't think that would be a bad move. Resign and move on. I think he can coach in the league again.
Yeah, but he would need some time or buffer, a year or so.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would.
Know, man.
I don't think he would be hired right away.
I don't think these people are that moral.
It's not
I
about.
think they got rules, but if he's with another organization, now obviously you want to sit down and find out the whole story and be like, look, there is a zero tolerance policy. You cannot do the first hit of anything like that, you're out.
Yeah, but
the dude can coach.
But the other thing we got that. I totally agree. But the other part is you got to be careful not to put other people in your organization in harm's way. If you hire the guy,
you think he's a stalker?
No,
like
I'm just saying if you hire the guy, then there's an issue.
Phil Jackson, according to some of the books out there about him, had his share of extramarital affairs.
I'm not saying that this has never been done before. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think he needs to sit on the sidelines for at least a year and then rebuild his. I don't think he'll get a job. What it allows you to do is rehabilitate your image. That's what I'm saying. But
I'm going to say this, Rob. He would be the Brooklyn Nets, who on paper are nice. He's a much better coach than Steve Nash.
They wouldn't hire him this year, though.
And he was there. Remember, he was there a year ago. I'd be tempted. I ain't going to lie. All right, 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Your thoughts on the Ime Udoka situation? Some people think he's getting the short end of the stick. Others think he should be fired. What do you feel about the Ime Udoka situation? We didn't even get into Nia Long, Rob, because to me that's between him and her. They weren't married.
No, they've been partners since 2010.
Right. And I don't look. You know me, at my faith, I don't agree with what he's doing for sure. But there's a difference between being married and dating.
Yeah, but they're partners. They got
look. There's a difference, but I'm not saying they didn't have an agreement that we won't cheat. I'm just saying that's why you get married.
No,
there's
I get that part.
There's a difference between
but
being married and boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right, 2010, and they have a kid, a boy.
They do have a kid. Yeah,
they do have a kid. There's a family unit.
I feel for her.
I do too.
Because it's incredibly embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, Chris. Totally.
Yeah.
Everybody knows her. It's not like some wife nobody knows. Everybody knows.
I met her at the game during the finals, not this year, but she was there for him. So it's unfortunate for her, and you feel for her. All right.